everybody. It's me, Timmy Flyersguy, and welcome to the latest episode of Classic Flyers Theater. I'm your host, Timmy Flyersguy. And in this week's episode, we show you a feature that came out a year after the Flyers won the Cup for the second time in 1975 when they beat the Buffalo Sabres. The Philadelphia Flyers came out with this feature VHS tape called Stanley Cup 2. The story of the 1975 Philadelphia Flyers Stanley Cup championship run in 1975. I never knew that this VHS tape existed. Most of the VHS tapes I knew existed were Tim Fights Back, Triumph and Tragedy, Beyond All Expectations, and Bobby Clark Retirement Night. But I found this VHS and I wanted to feature it on Classic Flyers Theater because there was so much nostalgia to this VHS. And it reminds us how wonderful Flyers hockey used to be when Ed Snyder on the team and when there was no COVID-19. So I'm going to take you back. Without further ado, we take a look back at Stanley Cup 2. The story of the 1975 Philadelphia Flyers. 1975 Philadelphia Flyers. I probably don't have enough room to put all that in the title page, so I'm just going to call this video Stanley Cup 2. I hope you all enjoy this.
On May 19th, 1974, the Philadelphia Flyers stunned the hockey world by defeating the legendary Boston Bruins for the Stanley Cup. When the shock of this upset wore off, some so-called hockey experts claimed this win was a fluke. As the 1974-75 Flyers charged into the new season, they were determined to prove that their mastery of professional hockey the year before was no fluke.
In our minds, we weren't a fluke. Maybe in some other people's minds, we were lucky.
I don't think you can fluke the Stanley Cup, but I think we all know that the best players don't always win either. I think we were the best team. Boston probably had the best individual players, but we were the better team. There's no fluke involved.
When I look back on all those years and think about the team, our team was really underrated.
The Flyers were the first expansion team to win a Stanley Cup, and their victory electrified the city of Philadelphia. So what if the experts grumbled? Stanley Cups were won on the ice, not by the whims of fate. The Flyers knew how to respond to their critics in a way that everyone could understand.
Of course, the only way to prove that is to the people, I guess, not to ourselves, but to the people, it wasn't the fluke, is to repeat the following year, and which we did. And then I think we solved that problem.
There were some new faces on the Flyers roster, and some old favorites missing. A career-ending injury had moved Barry Ashby to Philadelphia's coaching staff. Cowboy Flett had been traded to Toronto. Right winger Reggie Leach, a line mate of Bobby Clark's in junior hockey, was brought in for offensive firepower. He scorched the nets for 45 goals in his first year. Coach Fred Shiro matched him up with Clark and Barber. It became the most productive line in Flyers history, the LCB line.
Well, I think initially it gave the Flyers an extraordinary combination of the front line, Barber, Clark, and Leach. And it was a union made, of course, earlier in Leach and Clark's career when they played junior hockey at Flin Flon.
Veteran Ted Harris, a 5-time Cup winner with the Montreal Canadiens, was acquired from St. Louis to give the Flyers experience, leadership, and muscle on defense.
Ted Harris, who teamed, there was an odd combination in 74-75 with Larry Goodenough, and made a wonderful combination of a young kid who never rose to any higher levels, and Ted Harris, who had great times with Montreal and Minnesota to win another cup.
Leach, Harris, and backup goalie Wayne Stevenson were some of the many brilliant maneuvers by general manager Keith Allen, a major force in the success of the Flyers.
Well, I don't think he would have succeeded, anybody would have succeeded here without Keith Allen. Not only was he a great coach in his day, he's maybe the best general manager in his day, and he knew exactly what type of players we needed and what they could afford to get. And I don't think we possibly could have won without him.
The Flyers finished the regular season on a tear, going unbeaten in their final 14 games to gain a bye in the first round of the playoffs, secure the home ice advantage throughout the playoffs, and win the Vezina Trophy for Bernie Parent. The Toronto Maple Leafs were the Flyers' first obstacle to a second consecutive Stanley Cup. But as expected, it was a short series.
Barber winds it behind the Toronto net. Clark, a score! Hits the post! Oh, what a great setup by Bobby Clark, and the Flyers take the 1-0 power play goal lead. Harris keeps it in the left wing corner. Dornhofer. McLeish tried to pull the trigger. He was blocked. Oh, to the net! He scores! It's McLeish for the Flyers. It's 2-0. To center ice on the left wing for Barber. Barber ahead for McLeish. McLeish going in. Scores! It's McLeish. A hot kick. Game one of the Flyers were going away 6-3.
A hat trick by Rick McLeish highlighted a come-from-behind win in Game 1. In the next 2 games, a frustrated Toronto squad faced a flawless Bernie Parent.
Salming gets it over to Keon, back to Salming. Salming waits. There's the shot, and Clark stopped that. Williams just shoots it right back in again, and back for it is Joe Watson. He handed it to Ellis. A backhand. Bernie Parent made the save on that. Alexander moves up. Drops it back to Ellis. Ellis getting in. Here's his backhand. And again, and holds it out. Ronnie Ellis.
In Game 2, Bernie shut out the Leafs 3-0. In Game 3 in Toronto, he blanked them again, 2-0.
Back to Salming. Now Sittler closing. Sittler rolls it in front. Puck is loose, finally covered by Parent as Joe Watson is back. Getting past Lansbury's McDonald. Top of the circle drive. Right on in Parent to grab. And hangs on as McDonald comes right in along the goal line looking for rebound. Here he comes with Dunn. 2 defensemen against Maynham. Fires the blue line. Oh, Parent, the long glove save. Watson can't clear the puck out. 1 second, it's all over. It's all over. And Bernie Parent has registered his second consecutive shutout in this quarterfinal round against Toronto.
There's only one word to describe Bernie Parent. Magnificent.
Here comes down up to Keon against DuPont. DuPont a sleep check off Keon sticking to the far board. Nearly follows up in front of shot. Great save by Parent on Blaine Stoughton as it's finally played out to Clark. What a save by Parent on Stoughton on a great setup by Neely.
Bernie Parent was the foundation of the Flyers' success. There are many strategies to win a Stanley Cup, but they all begin with superior goaltending.
I think that Bernie was probably as good as any goaltender has ever played through the 2 seasons that we won the Stanley Cup. I mean, game after game, he played 70 games each year and all the playoffs, and I mean, he hardly give up a bad goal the whole year. And anytime you get goaltending like that, you're going to be successful.
To win a Stanley Cup, you need a great goalie. I don't know if that's exactly true, but I hate to try to win it without him.
Here comes Keon, straight up the middle. The drive, glove save. Parent drops it off for Jim Watson. Here comes McDonald on the right side. Shot on Parent, made the save, and we've lost the stick. from DuPont, but the Flyers were able to cover the puck and shoot the center ice.
For those 2 years of 3-4 and 4-5, he may have been the greatest goaltender that ever played. The thing that was so artistic about him, there were rarely these wild catches or splits. He played his angle so superbly, and a technique learned from Jacques Plante, that he was hit most of the time and he didn't have to move. And so you wondered what was the big secret. He didn't show the flashing glove and the great kick saves. It's just that he anticipated so well, played the angle so perfectly. It looked like an effortless performance for him for most of the games.
But Perron was more than just a superb goaltender. His unselfish attitude, team spirit, and genial personality were a source of inspiration to the entire squad.
I've never seen him upset. I've never seen him unhappy. And sometimes I'd say, okay, I'm going to put in the spare goalie. He'd just pat the spare goalie on the back and say, okay, kid, let's go. He wasn't jealous of anybody.
Down by 3 games, the Leafs wanted desperately to avoid a sweep in the series, but the Flyers continued to bombard goalie Gord McRae.
Quacks at center, at the red line, right wing pass, Leach trying to get inside, does, scores! Leach holds, looks, closes, takes the shot, in the right wing corner, Clark back to Leach, the shot, scores! Dorney cut his way nicely inside Dave Dunn, across to Barber measured McRae and beat him under the pad to the far corner. Goal came at 8:22, and the Flyers, for the first time tonight, have led. It's 3-2 Flyers.
But the Leafs fought back to tie the game and set up a dramatic finish in overtime. Dave Schultz provided the hammer as Moose DuPont drove the final nail into the Leafs' coffin.
Drop pass, Keon, and he overskates. And here come the Flyers, 3-on-2. Schultz with DuPont, penetrating, wants to drop a pass, DuPont scores! Andre DuPont, the game winner, and it's all over at 1:45.
The Flyers had defeated Toronto decisively, and Bernie Parent had been brilliant. The Flyers now waited to see whom they would face in the semifinals. Chico Resch and the New York Islanders shocked the hockey world when they overcame a 3-game deficit to upset the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Islanders were red hot, and their brash young goalie was eager to challenge the defending champions and Bernie Parent. But it was backup goalie Wayne Stevenson in Game 1 against the Islanders. A hushed Flyer audience had watched in horror as Bernie Parent was helped off the ice during the warm-up with a bruised kneecap, hit by a lightning shot from Gary Dornhofer. Stevenson's teammates wasted little time in giving him a morale booster.
Allen kicks it into the corner, and Braden bumps him off the board. This is Selesky starting out for the Flyers with Hendrickson and Kelly. Goal!
Don Selesky's 75-foot rocket was part of a first-period barrage that kept Chico Resch off balance.
Van Imp puts it into the corner, leads into Van Imp. He shot, and it's blocked in front. Shot hits the goalpost. Jimmy Watson lines it up, fires, and the hook just went wide. Barber the shot, saved. Dornhofer again the shot, and Resch holds on. Resch having some trouble again.
At the other end of the ice, Stevenson was outstanding.
Clearing pass to Parisi. DuPont is back. And Stevenson rejects that into the corner. Nystrom controls, cross ice Celerod. Shoots, save, rebound, loose in front. And it's DuPont who clears him off the board. Lewis keeps it in. And a glove save made by Stevenson as he flips it aside.
Wayne turned away 21 shots on goal for a shutout in his first Stanley Cup start as the Flyers skated to a 4-0 victory. With Perron still hurting, Stevenson would start again, but in Game 2 he would face a different New York goalie. Billy Smith, however, would fare no better than Chico Resch as the Flyers continued to attack the Islanders' goal. Ahead 2-1, the Flyers then got a power play opportunity.
And this is Barber now winding up. Flipped it to McLeish. Flyers with a lot of ice to play with here. Clayton winds and fires. And it is now 3-1 in favor of the Flyers. Pouring it on.
The second period was less than a minute old when the Flyers struck again.
Here's Barber, winds, and he fires! And it is 4-1. Billy Smith with little chance on that. And the
But the Isles' defense finally tightened, and the Flyer offense ground to a halt.
Leach in control in the corner with a minute and a half to go. Here's Dupont, winds up the shot. Great save by Smith! Unbelievable! Kick save by Billy Smith!
Wayne Stevenson continued to play with veteran poise, but New York was challenging at every opportunity.
Bruin looking for Nystrom. He sends him in. Nystrom splits the defense. He shot, save, rebound! And it's between the legs of Stevenson. Back to the point. John Cotman fires the shot. Tip and it's save off the pad of Stevenson. Nystrom in the corner. Looks in front. Denny Cotman winds. Fires. Oh! A great glove save by Stevenson there. And a standing ovation from the crowd here at the Spectrum. Wayne Stevenson coming up big on the last two attempts by the Islanders, and they are going wild here in Philadelphia. Unbelievable save. Here is Shane.
Time and again, Stevenson made the great save. But late in the third period, the Islanders struck for two quick goals to tie the game at 4.
Parisi, his second goal. And here's Hookman. He scores! And it's tied at 4. 17,007 stunned here in Philadelphia. The Islanders with two quick goals have tied it up. As we now begin sudden death overtime, pressure-packed hockey. One mistake could do it. And look what's on the line. Either the Flyers with a goal here will go into New York 2 games up, 2-0, or the Islanders, which would be a miraculous victory, would go home for 2 games tied at 1 apiece.
The Islanders held the Flyers scoreless for 39 minutes. Now in overtime, momentum was clearly on their side. But momentum meant nothing to Clark.
Gets by Bruin. Barnes to a Thornsberry. Great save, rebound,
The winning goal was vintage Bobby Clark. He always seemed to be in the right place at the right time to make the big play. Bobby Clark was truly the heart and soul of the Philadelphia Flyers. He was their leader on and off the ice. Unceasing determination, hard work, these were the attributes that made number 16 so great. He was certainly not the most talented player to play the game, but he did more with what he was given than any player in the history of hockey.
He accomplishes more than any other player. Some are bigger, some are stronger, some shoot harder, so what? But this man does more.
Clark led by example. His all-out effort, constant hustle, and never-say-die attitude inspired his teammates. His philosophy was simple.
That you were loyal, that you gave everything, that it was the team concept, and I know that sounds trite, but he lived to the nth degree. When Red Fisher was asked, what can you say about Bobby Clark? You said leadership, dedication, loyalty. He said, what more can you say about a player? Maybe of anything in my career, I would say one of the most fortunate things is to have seen Bobby Clark play every game that he ever did.
Coach Fred Shiro knew early on that Clark was special and just might be the key to hockey's holy grail.
I think it was in the 72 series against Russia when he played so well. I thought he was the best player on the ice for both teams. Even the Russians claimed he was the best player in the world. They wanted to watch him constantly. That's when I realized I had something special, and with him, there's a possibility of us winning the Cup.
Bernie Perrant was back in goal for Game 3 at the Island, and so was Chico Resch. Their first confrontation was a thriller that kept the fans on the edge of their seats.
Trying to get around Van Imp, forced deep. Throws it in front. Here's Fortier, the shot. Big save, Perrant. Here comes Schultz with Jim Watson. Schultz the shot. Leg save by Resch. The rebound. Resch trying to stop the puck and almost lost his balance out there. Philadelphia controlling. McLeish makes a shot. Throws it into the slot. Big save. Unleash the shot. Markey missed the whole net. McLeish with it. One man to beat. It's Bladen. How it's still going. He's deep. He throws it in front. Big save by Perrant. A nice from the rebound. Cleared by Bladen. DuPont. The shot, leg save, rebound. Kindred took another shot by Resch. Here's a steal by Parise. The pass, big save on Drouin by Bernie Perrant.
Both teams battled furiously in the tension-filled arena. For 40 minutes, the two goalies stared each other down until finally one man blinked.
Watson, number 20, out to Bobby Clark. Clark rink wide to Leach. One man back, it's Lewis. Leach can skate. The backhand shot, score! Reggie Leach on the backhand, beating Dave Lewis and then Glenn Resch, and the Flyers take a 1-0 lead.
Reggie Leach's goal early in the third period was the difference. Perrant celebrated a triumphant return, shutting out the Islanders 1-0. The Flyers now had a commanding 3-0 lead. But it had not been easy. The Islanders were a young, confident team, and they weren't intimidated by the Flyers' physical style.
And they are flying.
Who intercepted the pass. Flyers in their own zone. Van Imp taking off the puck and a tough hit thrown against. And Dennis Potvin broke up the pass, but Lonsbury follows on, and Jerry Hart cuts him off.
Schultz trying to bust out. And now a penalty coming up.
Clement for the Flyers with Terry Crisp. Clement around Westfall. Can't get the shot away. There'll be a penalty to Eddie Westfall for tripping Bill Clement.
When bodies start flying, fists are soon to follow. Dave Schultz was not the first man to fight in professional hockey, but he brought a gusto and an enthusiasm to it like no other player before him. He was called an enforcer, an intimidator, the Hammer. Opposing fans screamed and booed whenever he took to the ice. But his was not a mindless violence. It was part of a well-defined image of what the Flyers were.
Classify him as you want, as an enforcer, intimidator, whatever you want to call him. He played hockey, and he played hard. He played the best to his ability, along with the other 18 players that were on the ice. And he was a factor, obviously one of the reasons why we won a cup.
Gave them courage. He said, I'll go out and battle for this team any way I can, and provided that kind of leadership. I know people will think this is strange, but if you said, who was the dominant player of the 70s, you'd have to say Dave Schultz above Guy Lafleur and Bobby Orr. He changed the rule book, changed the way the game was played, changed the whole league, excited a nation, and gave the characteristic to a team.
Schultz very angry at the call. Dave Newell wasted no motion.
Dave Schultz was on intimate terms with every penalty box in the NHL, but he was seldom the instigator. He was like a gunfighter whose reputation preceded him, and often his showdowns had a profound effect on the game.
When you have that reputation, and it's expected, not only by the fans, but by your teammates, the coaches. The last thing that any team wants to have done is to be intimidated. And in those days, there were times when a single fight could actually affect not the total outcome of the game, but it could affect the flow of the game. And that happened. I remember, there was games when a fight changed our team around. How does it happen? It just does.
Santarah missed it. It goes back inside. Schultz running into punt man. And they pile in together on the board. Schultz on for his very first turn. And as usual, he gets things going rather quickly. There he is. Look at that.
Dave Schultz was not a lonely warrior. He had plenty of reinforcements.
There was no doubt in my mind that Schultz was one of the best fighters on the team, but we had a lot of tough guys behind him. He did not fight alone. Barry Ashby is maybe a better fighter than Schultz, and Moose DuPont was a good fighter, and Bobby Kelly was a good fighter, and Kinrachek was a good fighter. He had a lot of help.
Much has been written about the so-called Broad Street bullies, but most of it is myth. The Flyers were not bullies. They were simply a rough, aggressive hockey team. They challenged relentlessly and checked ferociously. They took the body. They stood up for each other. They were a team with a clear vision of what they were all about.
I think for a team to be successful, you have to have a personality. And Kelly and Schultz and Selesky and DuPont and these type of players who were effective hockey players also give us a personality, which was that we were an aggressive, hard-working hockey team.
In Game 4 with the Islanders, the score was tied in the final minute of play, but the Flyers were threatening deep in the Islanders' zone.
Off the board. His drive is blocked. 2 seconds. 1 out front. Shot! It's a light round. It's a goal. It's a goal. It's a goal. The Flyers have won it. It's a goal because the red light went on and the green light did not. Bobby Clark and the Flyers have won it at 1950. Wait a minute, we're going to get a talk down here. Let's see. The red light was on. The red light was on.
The Flyers were just starting to celebrate a 4-game sweep of New York when Reggie Leach's tie-breaking score was disallowed. Referee Newell claiming time had run out before Leach's shot crossed the goal line. The Islanders took quick advantage of their last-second reprieve with an overtime goal to force a 5th game at the Spectrum. Stunned on their home ice in Game 5, the Flyers headed back to Nassau Coliseum for Game 6, determined to crush this upstart New York Islander team. In the opening minutes, it seemed that the Flyers would do just that.
Philadelphia shooting it out. Dennis Potvin tried a surprise pass to Howard, but Dornhofer anticipated and picked it off. He flips it in. Jerry Hart of the Islanders has it there over skating. Lansbury now checking him. Hart just physicals his way out of there. Gives it to Howard, who hands it right to Watson. Score! Joe Watson shot deflected in by Ross Lansbury, who was alone in front. And an Islander mistake gives Philadelphia 1-0 lead.
But Chico Resch and the Isles defense reacted quickly to shut down the Flyers' offensive surge.
McLeish over the line, slap shot, leg save by Resch. That McLeish can really shoot the puck. Nothing he can't do, come to think of it. Billy Harris. Harris lost it to Chris. Here's a chance for Lansbury and a save by Resch.
Chico Resch and Bernie Perrant were locked into another low-scoring defensive duel.
He's got Harris ahead of him. McMillan breaking with him. Here's McMillan. Backhand shot. Big save, Bernie Perrant. Comes all the way around to Potvin. Good forechecking paid off. The shot by Potvin. A leg save by Perrant as he went down. He got his knee on it. Stolen by Westfall, but he can't control. Clark lost it to Drouin. Backhand shot and a 6 save by Perrant.
Bernie Perrant had shaken off the shelling he had taken in Game 5, but he was not getting help from the Flyers' offense.
Westfall's pass picked off by Reg Leach, a long shot. Not too much on it. Glenn Resch handles that.
The Flyers had run into a stone wall. The Islanders had held the Flyers to only 2 goals in the last 6 periods, and frustration was mounting on every shift.
Hart and Ralph Stewart back. Chris, the backhander, glove save by Resch. The shot was going wide. Here, Chris and Jerry Hart pushing and shoving in there. Hart and Jerry Chris.
Perrant continued to fend off the Islanders' attack, but the pressure was building.
Stewart with Gillies trailing. Stewart trying to get around Harris. He does, right across the crease. Harris drops it back. Hart the shot. Tipped, try, and good enough blocked it. Hart a drive, score! Jerry Hart, a rising left shot over the raised left hand, and Bernie Perrant at it 2-1. The New York Islanders in front.
The unthinkable had happened. For the second time in the playoffs, New York had battled back from a 3-game deficit to force a crucial 7th game showdown, this one at the Spectrum. The Islanders were cocky in their Cinderella role, but the Flyers had a special lady of their own.
It was a special moment. And, you know, when you're a player and you're standing out on the ice, it's her plus a lot of other things that are running through your mind, your game plan, what we had to do to win, and definitely a big boost.
It's amazing how one person can motivate 17,000 people and 21 hockey players, you know, at the same time, just before a hockey game. It's just incredible, and she sure did it for us.
God bless America. Al Arbor, the coach.
The stage was set for a thrilling climax to this exciting series. It was one of those special moments that players live for.
You think nothing can ever get any better than this with the crowds cheering and you're all pumped up to play. I don't think nothing does get better than that.
But it got even better that night as the Flyers came out with fire in their eyes and cannons in their sticks.
Play just underway, and from the opening faceoff, it was cleared into the New York zone at center ice. It's Dornhofer for Philadelphia. Shot scored! 19 seconds, 1-0 Flyers. And there's the draw. It comes back to Barber again. Barber shoots the screen shot. He scores! It was tipped in.
Bill Barber took the shot.
The Flyers vented their frustration from the previous 2 games with an explosive first-period blitz, bombarding Chico Resch with 15 shots on goal.
Now Bobby Clark covered up in front. A pass ahead to Larksbury and a breakaway. He's in all alone. Right in. Oh, and what a great save by Resch. Here's Jimmy Watson, a screen shot. It was tipped near the goal and wide. It bounces in front. Scramble. And Resch went down to make a big save. Another shot was wide. McLeish gets away. He's up near the line, going in with Leach. Here's McLeish, and a shot to score! McLeish.
On this night, it was the Islanders who would taste the bitter fruit of frustration, as Perron denied them time and time again.
And into the corner goes Nystrom, looking around. Nystrom tried to dig it in front. He did, right in front of the net. Perron made a big save. Saint Laurent back to the goal. Around the net in control. Saint Laurent back to Plotman. Plotman slides it in front. Oh, a big save by Perron. He went down. Saint Laurent had a great chance, but Bernie Perron showing why they say he's number 1.
It was midnight for Cinderella, but there would be no prince with the glass slipper, only Rick McLeish with the final boot.
They have 6 attackers out, pulling out all the stops is Al Arbor. And now Philadelphia clearing it into the break for the empty net. McLeish, he has 2 goals, he has 3. That'll be it, McLeish getting his 3rd goal. 1-4 for Philadelphia with 1:08 left.
It was the second hat trick of the playoffs for Rick McLeish and the final bell for the New York Islanders. The Flyers had smothered the Isles with 35 shots on goal and had given up only 1 goal in the process. Philadelphia was back on track with one last stop, the Stanley Cup Finals. For the second consecutive year, the Flyers were poised for the final assault on the throne of Lord Stanley. Only one obstacle remained between the Flyers and their quest for hockey's holy grail, the Buffalo Sabres. For the first time in NHL history, two expansion teams were fighting it out for the Stanley Cup. But expansion was the only thing the teams had in common. Buffalo's free-wheeling explosive offense was pitted against the Flyers' tight-checking physical defense. And the Flyers had Bernie Parent. Buffalo discovered just what an advantage that was midway in the first period when Moose DuPont was sent to the penalty box, giving the Sabres a two-man advantage.
Is Goldenrod. Drive. Blocked in front by Jimmy Watson. Clark can't clear out. Martin across to Perreault. The drive. Kicked out by Perreault. And cleared from the front by Jim Watson. Martin back to Gamerman. Across to Perreault. Perreault holds at the left point. Back to Gamerman. Closing. The drive. Kicked out by Perreault. Perreault has been brilliant on this two-man short situation. Gamerman again knocked out by Perreault. Perreault in front. Martin can't get a stick on it. Clark goes in for it. Kept in the Flyers zone. Jimmy Watson knocked down, and the Flyers fans are calling for a cross check. They won't get it. Perreault, left point. Winds up. Wide. Kept in by Gamerman. Right point. Closer. Fired in front. Perreault, big save, Perreault. Oh, Perreault has been simply magnificent.
Bernie Parent was incredible. For 2.5 periods, Parent held the Sabres scoreless, turning away 22 shots on goal before giving up Buffalo's only score. Philadelphia's offense was tentative for the first 40 minutes, but in the final period, the Flyers came alive.
Barber in that corner. Gets it to McLean. He's got it. Gonna get a shot. Drive. Rebound. Clark holds, look. Clark still looking. Leach is taken down from behind by Lewis. Clayton shot, knocked out. Second score! Clark Wesley on a power play, and the Flyers have taken a 2-0 lead. Oh boy.
The Flyers connected for 3 goals for a commanding 3-1 lead. With time running out, the Sabres, needing 2 goals to tie, pulled their goaltender for an all-out attack.
Clark with an extra skater on for the Sabres. 1-on-1. Clark, look. He's got Barber marking. It's Barber. Barber's got the opening score. Bill Barber scores his second goal of the game. His 6th on the series, and the Flyers have blown this one over. 4-1.
The Flyers had faced a blistering Buffalo assault, but Parent had stood tall in the goal. To win their first Stanley Cup, the Sabres would have to solve the Flyers' defense. Buffalo's famed French connection of Gilles Perreault, Rick Martin, and René Robert was the most obvious solution, but they had been muzzled in Game 1 by Parent. Perreault had challenged Bernie 8 times, but each time he came away empty-handed. Parent continued to dominate in Game 2. Whenever the Sabres found a crack in the Flyers' defense, Bernie was there to seal it shut.
Penalty has expired as Carrier shoots it into the Flyers' zone. Parent lets the puck go by. Centering pass, McNabb shoots, what a save! And Peter McNabb alone in front. Bernie Parent. No one from Peter McNabb as the Flyer air led to a great scoring chance for Buffalo. Gillespie is pinned in the corner. They'll face it off.
But Bernie Parent was not the only goalie making great saves.
Buffalo in their own zone trying to get organized against Flyer forechecking. Kindrachuk, number 26, has the puck. Throws it into the front. Shot, big save to Garnett. Loose puck, another big save on Zaleski by Jerry Desjardins. Kutcher gets control. Schultz and Zaleski both fouled by Jerry Desjardins. Zaleski out for Dave Schultz. Schoenfeld broke that up, and he and Schultz go down, and now Schoenfeld gives Schultz the shot to lefty and drive right on, and he got his rebound. It's loose in front. Desjardins down. A shot by Kinderchuk. Desjardins made the save, and Kinderchuk couldn't get it up over him. Korav has the puck.
The Flyers' offense began to perk in Game 2.
Clark against Carroll. Lonsbury and Martin battle, and again they all pile up, and Clark is down with it. The shot goes! Great release from Bobby Clark, and the Flyers break the ice and take a 1-0 lead. Great release. And Clark came out of the traffic with the puck, sent it over, and Leaf pulled the trigger. I think it was...
Reggie Leach's sixth goal of the playoffs gave the Flyers a 1-0 edge in the second period. But the Sabres snapped back early in the final period.
Stanfield trying to center, lost his balance and went behind the Flyer goal. Lorentz walks in front, the shot scored! Jerry Korav from Jim Lorentz, who made a real good play.
In the 5-year history of their franchise, Buffalo had never won at the Spectrum. Never. An anxious Floyd Smith knew that a split in the first 2 games would give Buffalo the home ice advantage and a big psychological lift. But the Flyers' hard-working captain Bobby Clark was in no mood to play psychiatrist.
Blade missed the pass, so Clark goes and gets it. As usual, he's playing all over the ice. Blade over the blue line, fakes the shot, now trying to go around Schoenfeld, can't do it, he wiped him up, but Clark goes to the puck. Clark back of the goal. Out for McLeish. McLeish to Barber. Barber walking in, throws it in for Clark. Score! Bobby Clark from Bill Barber as Clark jams it underneath Jerry Desjardins on the perfect feed from Bill Barber. And the Flyers go back in front 2-1.
Bobby Clark's 4th goal of the playoffs put the Flyers ahead to stay. The final score, 2-1 Flyers. Bernie Perron continued his mastery of the Sabres as Philadelphia took a 2-0 lead in the series.
Clark comes over. Gabriel won't shoot it as he sirens down. The game is over. The Philadelphia Flyers have won their second straight game here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. They take a commanding 2-0 lead.
As the series moved to Buffalo, Mother Nature decided to join the fray in Game 3. First, it was a bat who buzzed the players in the first period. Then he dive-bombed a face-off during a Buffalo power play. He was cut down by the Sabres' Jim Lorentz. Then it was the heat and the humidity. As the temperature soared in the non-air-conditioned War Memorial Auditorium, an eerie mist spread over the ice. Perron continued to frustrate Buffalo, and the Flyers jumped out to an early 2-goal lead. But as the game progressed, Philadelphia's lead vanished along with the puck. Mist turned to fog, and play was halted several times in a futile attempt to improve visibility. At the end of regulation time, the score was knotted, and the players were drained. The overtime was like a bad dream, as foggy phantoms fought their way through the clouds, slashing at a non-existent puck. The goaltenders had the toughest job.
All I could see was from the waist up, the players. And the only way I could tell where the shot was going was by the motion of the player.
For more than 18 minutes, the surreal suspense continued until René Robert drew a bead on a rebounding puck from Gilles Perreault.
Van Impe comes to center, flipped it ahead, it bounces over Height's stick, he has to hustle back after it. Height stops in the corner to shake off McLeish. Around it comes to Rick Martin, up ahead for Perreault. Perreault coming to center, dumps it off the boards in the corner, Robert going after it, he scores! René Robert!
The fog had lifted for Game 4, and so had Buffalo's confidence. The Sabres were sharp as the French Connection began to click on its home ice. Buffalo came from behind to win 4-2 and even the series at 2 games apiece. Although the Sabres had knotted the series, they still faced a momentous task. They had to beat the Flyers at the Spectrum. Floyd Smith had said repeatedly, "We'll win one there when we have to." That time was at hand, and every player on the Buffalo roster knew it. Bobby Clarke and the Flyers had seen the momentum shift at Buffalo. They too knew just how important this 5th game was. They had to reassert their dominance, and they had to do it quickly.
Zaleski just throws it off the corner board. Here's Schultz, left shot, sharp angle, score! Dave Schultz from a sharp angle along the blue line. Desjardins misplayed it, and it went in off the back of his body into the net. 1-0 Philadelphia. Korath shooting it over the line. Here's Gary Crisp as the Sabres change on the fly. A long shot kicked out by Desjardins. Rebound, score! Gary Dornhofer blasted the shot from the far board. Like he caught Desjardins napping right between the goalie and the post, and Philadelphia leads it 2-0. Flyers bring it out. Kelly to Chris. Catching up with it. Back for Kelly. Kicks it ahead. Kelly in on goal. He shoots. He scores! Bob Kelly. From Terry Chris, and the Flyers explode with 2 quick goals, and they lead it 3-0.
The Flyers erupted for 3 goals in the first period, but the barrage had not come from their big guns. It was Bob Kelly on a wrist shot between Desjardins' legs, Gary Dornhofer with a blast from the right, and Dave Schultz on an almost impossible angle from the left. It was Schultz's first goal of the playoffs, but it was not to be his last. In the second period, a beautiful pass from Larry Goodenough set up the opening, and the Hammer nailed it shut. This was classic Flyer hockey. Role players taking center stage when the script demanded it. It was super teamwork, not superstars, that fueled the Flyers' engine.
Freddie Sherrill often said, he said, "We don't have the best players, we have the best team." When people look back and they see Schultz, Zaleski, Kindred, Chuck Dornhofer, Lonsbury, Tom Bladen, Ted Harris, Larry Goodenough, they say, does that championship quality? Yes, because it's not an individual game. It's a team game, and certainly no one ever played it better than the Flyers.
The peak of Lord Stanley's Mountain was now in view. Philadelphia's 5-1 romp in the 5th game prepared the Flyers for the final assault. This was it for the Buffalo Sabres. Down 3 games to 2, there would be no tomorrow to lick their wounds and change their strategy. Only a long summer of bitter reflections on what might have been. This was no time to hold back. In the first period, the Sabres threw everything they had at Philadelphia.
Plates across the line, again deflected by Carrier this time, and here we have a try for breakaway. Ramsey, backhand to hit the post. Dornhofer now picked up by Clement across the line on the right wing. Centering pass is blocked off. Clement trying to dig it loose, but it's underneath. Perreault out to Korath. The shot hit wide by the right pad of Perron. Stanfield wins the draw. Back to Robert. The big drive. Kick save off the stick of Bernie Perron, and here comes Bill Barber out the right side. Perreault puts it to the left wing corner for Lorentz. Lorentz out front. Shot. Great save off the stick of Gavermont. Perron came up with a big one. Perreault cuts inside one man. Back to the point. Gavermont shot. Tipped off the glove. Martin. He's right across in front of Perron. Gavermont the right point. Kick save and cleared out from in front by Moose DuPont.
Perrant was again unbeatable in the first period as he faced 4 power plays and 13 shots on goal. At the other end, Roger Crozier, the hero of Game 3, was the Sabres' best hope to thwart the Flyers' fierce attack.
Now it's Clement in the left wing corner. Centering pass for Schultz. Schultz, Dupont, great save, Crozier. Oh, what a setup.
As the first period wound down, the game was scoreless, and Dave Schultz was in a familiar location.
The shot goes to the right wing corner. A drive by Robert off the stick hand of Perrant. Perreault's drive blocked off by Lonsbury. Left point, Korab, stopped by Perrant. As the Flyers are giving up shot after shot, but Perrant thus far has been airtight. Korab.
Again in period 2, the Sabres mounted an all-out assault on Bernie Perrant.
6 down, and they're doing a little jousting. It goes back to Korab at the point, challenged by Barber. Dumps it off the glass, behind Perrant to the near corner. Perreault there, tries to center, knocked behind the net. Martin is there, right out in front. Where is it? And Perreault back to Gaverman. Shot, kick save. Now Korab, out past Clark, out past Barber, storming at center. 4-man rush, 2 Flyers back. Into the right side to Perreault, shot, save, Perrant. Rebound Robert is wide of the open corner as Perrant went down. And then Van Impe coolly drives it off the right wing boards down the ice. Now in comes Lorentz. Out of the penalty box comes Teddy Harris. Back to the point. Stanfield a shot. The rebound in front. Another shot by Lorentz. They scramble. It's loose in front. And finally dug out by Jimmy Watson. And oh, baby, how that one didn't go in. Here comes Jimmy Watson at center. Overskates the puck. Height plays it off to Lorentz. On the near side, Dudley on the break. Over the line. Shot. Kick save by Perrant.
A superhuman effort by Bernie was keeping the Flyers in the game, but he needed help.
Through to Barber. Then he's got Leach all alone. Leach on the breakaway. He overskates the puck in front of the net. He was all alone and then never got a shot. Held in, no pass loose. Drive right on, and Crozier holds it.
Philadelphia's offense showed some life in the waning moments of the second period. But Coach Fred Shiro knew that this scoreless duel could not continue with the game being played in the Flyers zone. 40 minutes of scoreless hockey was taking its toll. Frayed nerves, aching muscles, and mind-numbing fatigue followed the Flyers out of their locker room. The Sabres' offense had been relentless, but Perrant had not yielded. It was time to take the battle to Roger Crozier. Let him feel the blitz of an all-out Flyer assault.
Off the face-off, it comes to the Flyers line. Jimmy Watson of Van Impe up to Leach on the right wing, and he just flicks it to the right wing corner of the Buffalo zone. Kelly bumped behind the net by Korab. Kelly has it. Oh, but he scores! Bob Kelly for Case of Tasty Cake, and the Flyers are on the board. It's 1-0.
The Hound does it again. That's my boy out there. Bob Kelly took a vicious check from behind the net from Jerry Korab, fought it off, got a screen from Clark, broke the puck free, came out on the backhander, fake Crozier, and then went long side with a backhander to make it 1-0. It will be Kelly unassisted at 11 seconds, and for Kelly on the playoffs, it's his 3rd playoff goal.
Well, let's see what...
Preserving a 1-goal edge was a Philadelphia trademark, but the Flyers didn't want to protect the lead. They wanted to increase it.
But here comes Dornoff on the right, trying to cut inside. Champel goes to the Buffalo backboard, ridden off the play, and up on the 6, out front. Oh, a drive by McLeish, point strike, and Crozier makes the save. Kinderchuk at center ice, loose puck. Tapped in for McLeish, lets it go. Kinderchuk trying to do it alone. He's got no help. Kinderchuk still controlling in the Buffalo zone. Across the Lonsbury. Lonsbury holds the shot. Great save, Crozier. A great save.
Buffalo tried desperately to find a soft spot in the Flyers' defense, but to no avail.
Barber can't move it out of the zone. Kept in by Rampy. Loses drive. One save, and Perrant holds on. Oh, how close can you come? And Perrant again, the super save to keep the door shut.
Buffalo's dream of a championship was fading with every tick of the clock. Perrant's masterful goaltending and the Flyers' offense were unrelenting.
Korab at the right point as the Sabres gang. Kinderchuk blocks it. And it comes to the near side. Kinnichuk back to Clement, a breakaway. He scores! There's Clement for a case of tasty cake, and it's 2-0 Flyers. Clement mobbed by his whole bench as the Flyers come out en masse.
Once again, it was the role players who made the difference. Hard work, self-sacrifice, and team play. No one blended them better than Coach Fred Shiro.
A standing ovation for the Sabres by the staunch Buffalo fans, and they deserve it. It's been that kind of a series. Face-off, one. It's all over. The Flyers have won the second in a row. The Flyers have won their second consecutive Stanley Cup. And the whole Flyers bench is off the ice. I'll tell you, they fought from adversity when they had to, and they won the big ones when they had to. And Bernie Perrant was big tonight when he had to.
For the second year in a row, Bernie Perrant won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs. It was only fitting that he would craft another shutout in the cup-winning game, as he had done the previous year. And for the second year in a row, the Philadelphia Flyers would drink from the cup as Lord Stanley's finest.
And there's Bernie and Bobby Clark with the traditional skate with the Stanley Cup. And now the Sabres fans cheer. Trailed by the entire Flyer club, they'll make it once around the Buffalo ice before returning it to their dressing room. Perrant and Clark with the cup hoisted aloft. And there's that clenched fist to Bobby Clark saying, "Attaboy, gang, we did it again."
On May 28, 1975, the city of Philadelphia had a party. A big party. A 2.3 million people party. The guest list included lawyers, construction workers, doctors, housewives, people from all walks of life. From the inner city to the outer burbs, they converged to share a very special moment. For the second year in a row, the people of Philadelphia gathered together to honor a group of dedicated young men. They had captured the hearts and minds of an entire city. They had shown that hard work and determination can overcome any obstacle. They had soared to the summit of their sport. They were the best. They were the champions. They were the Philadelphia Flyers.